what is the one thing, just one thing, that is going to make a difference in my business between now and the end of the week? Just one, not 12. One, identify that one, then identify the steps of what it's going to take to accomplish that, and be realistic in what can be completed between now and the end of the week, and roll that into the next week and into the next week until you're able to accomplish that one thing. Because often there's multiple steps, but you're not going to get it all done. But there's always one thing that's going to make the biggest difference in your business.
Hello, hello, and hello. Welcome to the Profit Advisor podcast, where we separate coaching conversations from real advisory outcomes. My name is Malcolm Reid. I'm the CEO of Pro Global Business Advisors and the creator and mastermind of the Profit Advisor platform. Now, each episode is a real operational breakdown of actually what broke in the business, what changed, and then the systems that made results repeatable. So if you want growth that survives without you, you're in the right place. And today, I am so pleased and honored to welcome our esteemed guest, Pam Lippitt. Pam, how are you today? Welcome.
I'm great, Malcolm. So excited to be here.
I'm glad you're here as well. And Pam, where actually are you located?
Denver, Colorado.
Oh, Denver. Now, is it cold there now, or are you guys experiencing snow?
Not at all. It's been the warmest winter we've had in years, and we miss the snow, actually. It's a good 4-season place to live.
I'm actually jealous because it's been freezing here in Maryland, but hey,
Got
listen.
a lot of family there.
Oh, you have family in Maryland?
Well, on the East Coast, so yeah, very, very close to where you are, and they're miserable.
Got you. So listen, let us jump right in and let me tell you about our guest today. So, because Pam, after she graduated from Ithaca College, where she actually got a BA in speech communications and a minor in business, she spent the past 13 years, y'all, at a top New York and Baltimore advertising agencies where, listen to how impressive this is. She led multi-million-dollar accounts for companies like Pan Am American Airlines, Buffer and Aspirin, Gordas of Gloucester, and we've all heard of Ford. And she's coached several business owners and executives, talking attorneys, accountants, real estate brokers, and other business coaches, not only in the United States and Canada, but Mexico, the UK, Australia, Kuwait, all over the world. And Pam is the author of 2 books. One is called Unstuck, which is next level business breakthroughs, and as well as the Professional Services Playbook. Now, Pam, she's been married for over 35 years. I'd love to know those secrets, Pam. And she's also a proud parent of 2 grown sons. You know what that means? They are off of her payroll.
That's
so,
the
Pam,
best part.
Pam, when you hear that impressive background, people tend to have the misconception that things just happen, like you woke up and you were overnight success. Is that true, or has there been some challenges along the way?
Oh, there's been plenty of challenges, and I think that's what causes us to grow and our ability to support others in their journeys as well. So no, it definitely was not a straight line.
Yeah, by the way, Pam happens to be part of our community. She's one of our advisors, right? So we're not selling anything. We're just going to have a really meaningful conversation today. But Pam, I'm curious, so you said there's many challenges. For our listeners, a lot of them are stuck, right? A lot of them, they have spouses or partners, or they're in situations where they're not feeling supported. They don't know what to do next. The business is stagnant. They may feel like they're broke. What was your biggest challenge? And then what advice could you give to the audience on what some of the lessons you learned to overcome that challenge and to, encourage them to keep moving forward?
I'd say the biggest challenge was getting out of the overwhelm. There's too many things to do. There's too many things on your to-do list. You don't prioritize. And when we hired our first coach, for us personally, it made a huge difference because I do this with my husband. So we were able to identify better who was responsible for certain areas of the business, and then utilize that coach to help focus us in a very step-by-step manner to proceed forward. So it took the overwhelm off of our plate, and we actually felt like we were making strides moving forward.
So what I'm hearing you say, and I want the audience to really pick up on this, is you were overwhelmed and you didn't quite have the answers. So what you did is you went out and you invested in a coach or a mentor, someone that's been there and done it, right? So that they can then help you get to places that you didn't realize that you could get because they've been there, they've overcome these challenges, and that's what kind of helped you, and you said, and your husband, because you work together, to get unstuck. Is that the case?
That's definitely the case. You hit it right.
Get some help. That's what I'm hearing Pam say.
It made all the difference in the world. We wouldn't be doing what we're doing had we not done that.
Well, what about that person that says, I'm broke. I can't even afford to barely keep my lights on. I can't afford to go out there and hire somebody. What would you say to them?
Find a way. There are ways. Work with that individual and identify, what's it going to take? It doesn't mean you have to meet with them weekly. Maybe you start off one time a month that you start working with them. But find a way, because you're doing the same thing over and over again. And what are you getting? The same result. Or you just completely have to shut your doors. So there's no way to do it on your own. Everybody needs help.
Wow. Another way I'm looking at this, Pam, is when you mentioned you're a mom, right? And me being a dad, being parents, we're committed to being the best parents that we can be. Yes. But sometimes we don't know how we're going to provide what our children need. And what do? We find a way because we're committed, right? And so what I'm hearing you say is, similarly in your business, if you're committed to changing your life and being better and showing up different and creating, a future for you and your family that you want, you're saying find a way. Start with where you are, but figure it out. Find a way. Is that what you're telling?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. I mean, I'll use a great example. You talked about the kids. There was a time that I was working inside an organization and I had to be there 9 to 5. And my son made a travel baseball team. So I made sure that he got to those practices. So I found a way to ensure that he didn't miss out on that opportunity, even though I still had to work in order to make that possible as well. So it's little ways of finding ways. It isn't just about money. Right. Money is a piece of it, but even finding the time is finding a way. So setting the time aside to get the work done on the business and not just in it. You may be burnt out at the end of the day, but once or twice a week, you may need to take an extra 30 minutes or 60 minutes to get something accomplished in order to keep moving forward. And that's what I talk about with my clients all the time.
Wow. That's
little
powerful.
Sacrifices.
Those little sacrifices can add up to massive success over time. What I'm hearing is small incremental improvement over time. It starts to compound, sort of like interest, right? If you keep making these little deposits, right, and you keep doing it consistently, just moving forward. We always say take massive action now, right? And then when we mean if you can get 1% better every week and you do that consistently, wow, you're going to look up at the end of the year and you're going to be 50% better. Actually, even more than that, because it starts to compound. Is that what you're saying?
No, absolutely. It is small steps.
So what's one uncomfortable truth that you want to share about being a business owner? An uncomfortable truth.
Wow, that's a good question. One uncomfortable truth. That your time is 100% yours. That is not the truth. People think it's glamorous. Oh, you make your own time. You can be here. You can go there. You can travel. You can do all of those things. But that's not always the case. Sometimes you have to step in and support others when you're not available to make sure that you're supporting them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because people do assume that, you have your own business. You can work your own schedule. You can do as you please. You have it made. And what I've discovered is a lot of times you are you're a glorified problem solver, right? I mean, there's a whole lot of problems that you're dealing with with your family, excuse me, look, in the business, also with clients. And as the leader in your business, that's really your main job, is to find the problems and fix them. And that's not always glamorous.
Well, and you have to find the time to fix the problems. And if you don't find that time, the problems get larger. And often then it's not fixable and you have to completely pivot.
Wow.
So, don't ignore it. Face it head on.
Right.
And that's what helped us when we got a coach, that we kept pushing things to the side. And the coach was like, you can't do that. It's kind of like leadership. You have to put the mirror up to yourself first and look in there and go, oh, I'm the problem.
That's a good analogy, because you're right. When you look in that mirror, sometimes you see things you don't want to see, because a mirror isn't going to show you what you think you want to see. It's going to always show you the truth, right? And sometimes that's painful. But I love what you said, that first it takes the ability for you to have, what do they call it? Introspection, to say, let me take a look at what I'm doing and look at myself, right? Mm-hmm. And then to be open enough to make the necessary changes. That's huge.
Yes.
So a lot of, small business owners that we talk to, they feel alone on the journey. They feel like no one's supporting them. What would you say to them to help them to get past that reality that they're facing?
Well, they first have to acknowledge the fact that loneliness, there is an ability to get rid of that loneliness. And that is hiring a coach. It just, somebody to talk to, somebody outside the organization who you can really share what your challenges are, where your fears are. They're not putting their fears on outward speaker with somebody internally, because they believe they're the ones that have to have all the answers. There is not a CEO out there that isn't seeking help from other resources and listening to others. Then they'll make a judgment, and they're better equipped to make decisions based on hearing from other people. Every business owner needs that support.
Yes, I agree. So Pam, before we wrap up, if you were to think about one thing that you could tell the audience that they could do immediately after this podcast that could generate some type of result for them, or help them gain momentum, or help them get unstuck, what would that one thing you want them to do right away? One tactic, one strategy, something.
I would have them honestly sit down and ask themselves, what is the one thing, just one thing, that is going to make a difference in my business between now and the end of the week? Just one, not 12. One. Identify that one. Then identify the steps of what it's going to take to accomplish that, and be realistic in what can be completed between now and the end of the week, and roll that into the next week and into the next week until you're able to accomplish that one thing. Because often there's multiple steps, but you're not going to get it all done. But there's always one thing that's going to make the biggest difference in your business.
She said one thing. That's a novel idea and it's difficult, right? But one thing. I'll liken this to this example. If you're looking to try to clean your house, can you clean the entire house at once? Well, no, right? What Pam is saying is start in one room and start on the dresser and grab that one item off the dresser and deal with that first. And if you take it one step at a time, it may take you a little while to clean the house or to get the result that you're looking for, but one thing at a time, and don't stop. Is that right, Pam? Is that a good analogy?
That is exactly it. And I'm wondering if you can see behind the wall as to what has to happen in my own house.
Pam, how can our audience reach you? How can they get a hold of you?
So best way to reach me is Pam at businessgrowthology.com.
Ooh, I like that. Look, you hear that name? Business growthology. That means you're a business growthologist. Is that what that
We
means?
are. We are chief business growthologists. We've elevated ourselves, but
Chief,
it's a lot of
excuse
fun.
me.
It
Chief
is
business
a lot of fun.
growthologist. So Pam at chiefgrowthology.com. And
No,
how else can you reach?
business growthology.
So look at
Just
that.
business.
Pam at
Dot.
businessgrowthology.com.
Mhm.
Any other ways? Is that the best way to reach you?
That's the best way to reach me.
Reach out to Pam. Reach out to Pam. And listen, if this episode resonates, subscribe. You know, if it made you rethink your operational model, don't just binge, actually build. As we said earlier, take massive action now. And what that means is 1% growth every week. If you do it consistently, even if you take a couple of weeks off, you'll be even more than 50% better at the end of the year. So if you're serious about moving your business to a place where it's sustainable and profitable, please let someone else know. You keep coming back, and it was amazing and a pleasure to have this time with you. Pam, it's been wonderful. Thanks so much for your time today.